What's up, guys? So today's video I want to talk about, you guys probably already know from the title, StreetSpeed717 and how he bought a Dodge Viper, SRT Viper, whatever you want to call it. They were kind of, just so you guys know, they were in the midst of a rebranding stage in those years, so it was an SRT Viper, not a Dodge Viper, but whatever, you guys already know what I'm talking about. So what do you guys think about StreetSpeed717 having a Viper? There's kind of, as you guys know, I've been a Viper owner for, since 2015, 2016, so 4 or 5 years now. You know, I have the Gen 2 model, the 2000 GTS ACR model, so let's get that out of the way. I've made a ton of Viper videos, and, you know, I've pretty much fully documented the build of my Viper on my channel. But a lot of people seem to have some sort of hate or discrepancy towards StreetSpeed717 Mike having this Viper, because I see it in the actual Facebook groups and all the different Viper groups that a lot of people are a little bit upset with somebody like that owning a Viper. My personal opinion, I think it's, you know, it's cool. It's good that some people, you know, bigger YouTubers and whatnot are actually, you know, respecting the Viper. Finally, that is a car that since its inception has pretty much just got a bunch of negative feedback and not a good review or, you know, withstanding in the car community. And it's not until the last generation, the Gen 5, so the 2013 and up to 2017, that finally in the car community the Viper is respected somewhat. So with the latest inception of the ACR, you have people buying Vipers that never would have bought Vipers. They've always had this, I don't know, misconception that they're a dangerous car that will kill you and all sorts of stuff like that. But I think it's cool. I already know what he's going to do with the car. It's pretty much what he does with every car. He's turned his YouTube channel into a successful business, essentially. He buys a car, makes content with it, races the car, you know, in Mexico, or street races the car, and then they end up raffling it off or doing a giveaway with in-chain designs. So it's a way for him to make content with a particular vehicle, do everything with it, and then profit from him purchasing the vehicle. I think in the past he looked at his purchases from a standpoint of buying that car, making content, and making money off the content, but now I think he's kind of created a business where he can actually profit from the sale of the car as well as the content of the car. So that's what he's most likely going to do. As far as my opinion on the whole thing, I think it's good that, you know, there's somebody that's going to bring a little bit more audience to the Viper. There's not really that many people that are doing it. What comes to mind as far as other YouTubers that really have a Viper? I know Goon Squad rebuilt their car, their Viper, which they kind of scored on that one. If you guys haven't seen Goon Squad's rebuild their Viper, they managed to get a Viper TA that had a heads and cam package. I think it has an Aero Performance 9-liter stroker kit on it. So they got pretty lucky on that one, but they don't really do much with the build once they finish. So take that for what it's will. Whereas I know StreetSpeed717 for sure is going to put that car through its paces. Another thing that I should, you know, mention as well is that those years of Vipers did have a lot of recalls where they actually replaced the engine from the factory. So I'm not sure, I haven't fully watched his video in every single detail to know if it's had the R28 recall done on it. So he could be into a motor, you guys. So what one of the recalls was on those engines was they had oiling issues where what would happen is whenever they were producing the blocks, they didn't actually wash the casting of the block. So there was actually sand. When they cast the block, it's, you know, has some sand and whatever. I guess the washing station, they didn't fully wash the blocks before assembling the engines. So there was actually sand in them, and it would just wipe out the bearings in the whole engine. And that was a pretty common failure on those engines. There was a couple other things too, but that's the main one that everyone seems to be affected by on Dodge Vipers. So but other than that, like, I think it's cool that other people are getting into the Viper scene. At some point on this channel, I do want to get a Gen 5, but I think I'm going to hold out for the ACR model so that I can have my current ACR, the Gen 2, the 2000, and then the new ACR. So that's the plan. Also, we're going to be doing something with a build on my car. I already have all the parts to do a high horsepower build on my Viper. It's not going to be, crazy, but it's definitely going to wake it up and add a significant amount of power. And if you guys know the name of my channel, you guys can probably put 2 and 2 together on what's going to happen with that car. But other than that, I think a lot of guys are, I don't know, a little bit upset by Mike with him purchasing the Viper because they think that, he's going to street race it or give it a bad rap or a bad name. But, like it or hate it, the street racing thing that he does give real world comparisons. And I think in most senses, he does actually give the vehicle a fair representation of how fast it is. He's put his ZR1 through the paces, his McLarens, all that. He does seem to do pretty well, so I will say that he can drive from what I can see. I know a lot of the vehicles that he drives do have traction control, but he was one of the first ones to document and have a YouTube channel with a Hellcat, so take that for what it's worth. So I think he can probably drive, and I believe that car was a 6-speed manual, so he should be able to roll the gears. And he's had Z06s that were manual too, and I've seen him bang gears in that, so I think he'll do all right. The only thing I can think of that comes to mind is just that whole thing that, the Viper, that's what I should probably get into. The Viper is a dangerous car, it's this car. The Viper is a driver's car. If you get into that car and you don't know what you're doing, it has enough power to get you in trouble in a hurry. That's all it is. It's not that the car itself is dangerous. There's a lot of cars that don't have traction control and, much driver aids. Take, for example, the S2000. That car is 50-50 weight distribution, which, if you guys didn't know, the Viper is pretty much 50-50 weight distribution as well, meaning if you spin the back end and you lose the back end of that car, the front end is going to go with it. So there's just as much weight as there is in the back as there is the front, so when you lose the tail end, it's going to take the front end with it. The S2000 is a car that can do the same thing. That's a lot of the reason why you don't see a lot of drift cars that are S2000s. So, because there's so much weight in the back, if you try to bring or swing the back end, it's going to take the front end with it. So, the reason why I bring that up is because the S2000 is a similar car, but the S2000 doesn't get known as a car that could potentially kill you. The reason being is because the horsepower is lower, but it's the same principles apply. So if you ever had a high horsepower S2000, which I had before, it's kind of the same thing. It's got zero traction control. You punch it, the power is there. You have to be able to dance that car if you break the back end. So same thing with the Viper. I think I've seen him take traction control off of his Z06, which is a 650 horsepower car stock. So I think he'll be fine with the Viper in that regard. But I think it's going to be interesting, you guys. I think it's going to shake things up a little bit. As far as other YouTubers that do have Viper content, I know Suited Racer. He is definitely promoting and doing a good job at giving, the audience or car community Viper content in that same light. So he's been running his car hard. He's been using his car hard, and I applaud him for that. But I think it's going to be good. It's going to be good. But I think the way you're going to see it is he's going to race the car, he's going to wrap the car, and then he's going to give away the car and move on to another platform or another vehicle. He seems to be pretty Chevy oriented. So just look out for that. As far as the builds on this channel, what you guys can expect from my Viper, we pretty much have rebuilt my Viper from front to back, top to bottom, and everything in that car has been replaced, upgraded, and brought up to new standards. So it's got coilovers, full bolt-ons, every bushing's been replaced, and that's all in anticipation of the build that I was planning to add finally more horsepower to that car. So that's pretty much where we're going to be at. If you guys haven't seen the videos on this channel and you guys want to see more about the Viper and the V10 and all that stuff, definitely check out my playlists on the channel, because like I said, I have probably at least 30 or 50 videos on the Dodge Viper. Some of them are a little bit older, so they're a little bit more cringy and hard to watch, but the information nonetheless is still good. So we're gonna wake up this old Viper and bring it up to modern day horsepower, and I think you guys will like what's to come on that. So definitely make sure you're subscribed if you guys are stopping into the channel for the first time, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And we have a lot more contents. And also, we have a Viper truck too. So if you guys are into trucks with Viper engines or any trucks content, we have that as well. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next video.